Holding on too tightly actually makes you lose control. It kills the thing that you're trying to grasp.
See, Todd, that's where structure saves you. The way to stay in control isn't by doing everything yourself. It's by building the systems that show you exactly what's happening. Weekly meetings, clear KPIs, scoreboards that everyone can see. Delegation actually gives you freedom.
100%.
Freedom to think. Sometimes we're so much in the weeds that we just can't think. We can't critically think. We can't strategically think. And I don't mean freedom so that you're on the golf course. I mean freedom to run the business.
Yeah.
Welcome to the $100 Million Mindset, the source for business owners who aspire to scale, grow, and reach their full potential. Whether you're aiming for 5 million, 10 million, or 100 million. Your hosts are Alan O'Neill, the Irish plumber, who scaled Abacus Plumbing and Cooling to over 100 million, and Toast Delivered Todd Liles, a coach to high-performing business leaders and the owner of Service Excellence, are going to help you think bigger, act smarter, and take your business to the next level.
Well, welcome back to the $100 Million Mindset. This episode is part of our special four-part series where Todd and I are addressing major challenges facing owners. Without guests, just the two of us working through what we've learned. And we've learned some stuff, Todd.
Yes, we have.
So today we're tackling one of the biggest fears in business, delegation. Owners worry if they hand something off, they'll lose control. The truth is, when it's done the right way, delegation actually gives you more control. In this episode, we'll show you the systems, scoreboards, and frameworks that let you delegate with confidence.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, Alan. I think people are fearful of delegating. In the last episode, we talked about people that want to delegate everything, but they actually want to leave, which is bad. In this episode, we're going to talk about how you actually start gaining control by delegating. And delegating is not a bad thing. Delegating is a very, very good thing. And we're going to give you a framework to operate in, which is going to be great. Now, in addition to that, we are also going to talk about how you should run your meetings, what KPIs and scorecards you should be using, and how you delegate with confidence. Alan, as a bonus, one of my favorite things that I'm going to cover here is what I refer to as getting a real good case of ADD. Because most of the time we hear that, we think that's bad, but no, it's actually really good. And I'm going to save what that means until we get there. So let's jump into segment number one, Alan, which is, why does delegation feel risky? Every owner eventually hits this wall where they know they can't do it all, but yet they feel like if they hand something off, it feels like letting go of the steering wheel. And Alan, for some reason, the fear is, if I'm not the one touching this, it's not going to be right. And I hear that so many times. And for others, it's more like, hey, if I'm not inside the weeds into every little detail, then I can't track it. But here's the truth. Holding on too tightly actually makes you lose control. It kills the thing that you're trying to grasp. Fires get missed, numbers slip, and suddenly you don't even know where your real problems are because everything looks like a problem, Alan.
And you see, Todd, that's where structure saves you. The way to stay in control isn't by doing everything yourself. It's by building the systems that show you exactly what's happening. Weekly meetings, clear KPIs, scoreboards that everyone can see. Once those are in place, you'll never feel blind, and you don't have to micromanage to stay in charge.
Absolutely. And I think what it really, really boils down to, it's like lifting the blinders off of. And delegation only feels risky when your visibility is limited. So as we move forward, what we're going to talk about is how to remove that risk and enhance the vision of the leader so that they can actually see the things that they should be doing and the things that they should be delegating to others.
Absolutely. Todd, I have a theory about delegation, and it's that delegation actually gives you freedom.
100%.
Freedom to think. Sometimes we're so much in the weeds that we just can't think. We can't critically think. We can't strategically think. And I don't mean freedom so that you're on the golf course. I mean freedom to run the business.
Yeah. Well, it's very addicting to always be the person solving all the problems. It makes you feel like you're doing something, but you're not really. You're not actually doing the important things that are not urgent. You're just
Well,
doing the urgent
there's another
things.
problem with it, Todd. The other problem is in this $3.5 to $5 million range, you you actually you create an energy in the business where the technicians feel they can only go to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a problem for me when I hired my first service manager. The techs would go around the service manager and still come to me. And so you have to be really firm and say, that's his job.
Yeah.
Go through him. I still know what's going on, and I, had a good eye on the business. But you need freedom to to continue to grow. And I think delegation equals freedom.
It does. And little later on, we're going to get into why people struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really think that it's a byproduct of people not understanding, even like at the leadership position, what they're supposed to be doing. So if you are finding yourself listening to what Alan's going and go, yeah, I do that myself, even though I have people in play, chances are you don't have the 5 level of delegations, and we're going to give them that today. It's going to be great.
Correct.
Alan, one of the things that we've been doing internally now for a couple of years, and we've moved it into the rhythm of our clients, are these 90-minute meetings. We refer to them as leadership, management, and accountability. And for people that are accustomed to like the EOS system, it's very similar to that. And we've been doing this for a long time. And the only difference that between what we were doing versus EOS, it was a subtle difference, is that we realized we didn't have enough time. We were only doing 60 minutes. We added that extra 30 minutes, which they recommend, and it gave us the bandwidth to get work done. And I'm bringing this up because we're going to talk about weekly leadership meetings, control through cadence. And we may not have the exact same opinion here on what are the weekly leadership meetings, and that's totally okay
Mm-hmm.
because we're not here to agree on everything universally. So I really want you to explore this. I want you to talk about the universal cadences of meeting rhythms that you guys do at Abacus. And if it's different than what we do or what we teach, we'll talk about how it's different. And maybe we'll pick something up from each other today.
Absolutely. So the heartbeat of control is the weekly leadership meeting.
Mhm.
90 minutes, same time every week. You have all the managers in the room. Each person reports their numbers, and we do that religiously. Each department updates the goals. Then you tackle the biggest issues together. And, I personally find, Todd, when you have all the people in the room, and I'll go back to another good friend of ours, Paul Kelly. Paul Kelly says you can solve every problem in the business if you meet often enough with the right people.
That's right.
And discuss the problems. So any problems come up, any issues come up, we tackle them together. So the rhythm is where the accountability lives. You don't need to chase people down every day. You know they're going to bring the right updates to that table every week. And I love that.
That's beautiful. So you guys are doing those rhythms at Abacus now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I figured that you were. I just wasn't sure.
Well, we have, of course, our daily huddle, Todd, where
Yes,
we
of
talk
course.
about numbers and goals and hits and misses. But the weekly meeting is where the big issues get tackled.
And I think the daily huddle is super critical. Let me share with you one of my thoughts on the daily huddle. I want to see if you align with this. I have found that a lot of people are resistant to daily huddles because in their mind, they're thinking it's going to be a long meeting.
Mm-hmm.
What we've recommended to people, especially if like one of your daily huddles is if you're a service manager, right, and you're daily huddling with your technicians or your installers, you don't need a daily huddle at a table. Everybody can stand in a circle and you can get through your huddle in about 10 or 15 minutes and get on the road.
Right.
It does not have to be an hour. And I think most people are thinking this takes forever.
Yeah.
So I actually recommend when it comes to the huddle that it's a standing meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not sit down. That puts us in a different mindset. Let's stand. It's like action, go. Okay.
Yeah.
Hit the numbers. What's your most critical number? What's your bottleneck? Thank you for letting me know that. We'll solve that after the meeting. Don't get into solving problems in the meeting because if you're doing the daily huddle and you're trying to solve problems in the meeting, it stretches to an hour in a hurry.
Right.
So that's what we teach. Not that that's the only way. How do you guys do your daily huddle?
So it's interesting you bring that up, Todd, because when we started the daily huddle, and I don't remember where I saw about it or heard about it for the first time, but when we started the daily huddle, it was a stand-up meeting. And everybody stood up. It took about 10 or 15 minutes, and that was it. I don't know how we ended up sitting down. I don't remember when the transition was, but for some reason we went from standing to sitting, and now it takes about 30 minutes. But more departments, more
Yeah.
managers, it gets a bit bigger. But I absolutely love the standing up, because people are less inclined to wander off topic when
Right.
you're standing up, because they don't want to stand for an
No,
excessive
they
amount of
don't.
time, But I do think I think having that daily huddle creates a little bit of peer pressure amongst, especially if you're running multiple departments,
Right.
creates a little bit of peer pressure in the group, and it's a wonderful way to run a business, I think.
Alan, I don't recall if we ever did a daily huddle lesson, but I do recall one thing. When I started working with you and your team started growing, and it went from me and you talking to now me, you, and Barry, and me, Barry, and Ron, and the team started growing. I remember going at one point, it's like, okay, I need to actually put together a leadership meeting lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And the first leadership meeting lessons that I wrote were because of you. That's like why I started doing that. And that's become my favorite part of what I do. We've been doing this for years now. Inside of our community, I've been doing one for the last 3 years running, and every topic is different. But the reason why I bring it up is I'm going to go and find my old Abacus folder, and I'm just curious if the daily huddle and you guys standing was from our interaction or not. I'm not claiming that it was.
I think it may have been after you.
Okay, I
Todd.
couldn't recall.
I don't remember a daily huddle back then, but I do think what you probably wrote down was, this guy needs a lot of help. No, but
No, I was always impressed with y'all.
always.
I always had imposter syndrome with you guys.
Really?
Yeah, because you guys were so good.
Yeah.
And you were so good at implementing. This is the young 30-year-old versus the guy that's 46 today.
Mm-hmm.
The 32-year-old was like, oh wow, they implemented that quickly. They're smarter than me. That scares me. The 46-year-old's like, this is really cool. They're a lot smarter than me, and they're implementing that quickly. Awesome. It doesn't bother me anymore.
There's very few things, Todd, that I would publicly say I'm really good at, but I will say I'm really good at implementing.
You are.
I see something, I make a decision if it's going to work, and I implement. And I tell the guys, listen, guys, I have an idea. We're going to run with it. If I make a mistake, we'll fix it,
Yes,
right? And there's another good friend of mine, Howard Partridge. He's also a business coach, but Howard has this thing about FTI, failure to implement. A lot of people know what to do, they just don't do it.
That's right.
And I also heard a statement. I was scrolling through Instagram the other day, and I heard a guy say, procrastination is the assassination of your destination. And I absolutely love that, because you can't get anywhere you want to go if you procrastinate. And so I think that's, if you're taking notes out there, write that one down. Procrastination is the assassination of your destination, because you just can't get anywhere by procrastinating. And implementation, make the decision and implement.
100%. And in a leadership meeting, Alan, it always needs to end with, what are you going to do and when?
Exactly.
If you don't have that there, what was the point?
Well, who's responsible for what? No good, right? Who's responsible for this? Who's responsible for that? And when can we expect that done by?
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Good deal. So that's a great series of cadences. If you're not doing meeting cadences right now, and there's substantially more. Like we do more internally than just that. We're not meeting to death, but we have one-on-ones with key department leaders. But the essence is, if you start with a weekly 90-minute LMA meeting where the appropriate people are in that meeting, your key managers, and you do a daily huddle with your departments, you're going to be doing pretty good if you just start implementing there. So that's a great place to start delegating.
No, and owners that run without this rhythm end up in firefighting mode all the time, Todd.
All the time.
And owners who adopt it feel in charge.
100%.
Yeah.
Alan, the last segment before we jump into giving some tools on delegation is just to talk briefly about scorecards and KPIs. And again, this first part is about gaining vision. And there are a lot of things that we could put on that scorecard. And what I would say is that in the early stages, I would actually recommend keeping your metrics that you're going to run your business down to about 1 page items worth of information. And Alan, the reason why I believe that is that I feel like A, if we don't have it, we get off course. And B, it's easy to try to track everything under the sun when you get going, and you just end up having so much data, it just makes you implode. You just don't know what to do with it. So when it comes to KPIs and scorecards, my initial feeling on it is in the beginning, actually find like the 5, no more than 10 things you actually need to know daily to run your business and focus on that intensely. What are your thoughts about KPIs and scorecards?
I mean, I think they're essential, Todd, especially if you're delegating. If you're truly delegating and handing stuff off, having that scorecard is essential to run the business. And the scorecard has to be visible, especially metrics that are technician facing. The scorecard has to be visible, not buried in a spreadsheet. It has to be simple and posted where everybody sees it. I can take you back to something I did when I was the CEO of the Texas region for Wrench. Of course, I noticed all our salespeople were competitive.
Right.
They wouldn't be good salespeople if they weren't. So we created the Texas scorecard where we had Abacus, Berkey's, and Baker, and we had multiple categories like plumbing service, plumbing install, HVAC service, HVAC install, and we tracked it monthly. So we showed monthly winners every month for each category, and then at the end of the year we had a banquet, and we honored we call them the Eagles, the people that were flying above the crowd, and we honored those. We went to Oklahoma one year, we did it in Austin another year. Like, we had a great time with it, and Wrench indeed have taken that a step further, and they now have a national scorecard, and it's a huge party every March where we go to the GOAT Awards, and the GOATs from across Wrench are honored. So I think people really respond to see their name up in lights, right? Yeah. And so even if you're running a small $3 million business and you have those scorecards, I noticed when I was running Abacus, Todd, in the early days, when we would have a function at the shop, the first thing the techs would do when they bring their wives or their kids in is show them their name on the scoreboard, like where they were sitting on the scoreboard. Yeah. Most of the guys.
Right.
The guys at the bottom of the scoreboard didn't tend to do that, but it's interesting. It's way more motivating than you think, than most people think.
Well, 100%. I was visiting with the location in Austin and meeting Aaron, and I was looking at all the things on the wall, and we were looking at the numbers, and I had said, I remember when Charlie Brown used to run the scoreboards with 34,000 a month.
Yeah.
For years.
Yeah.
He'd be around 34, 35, 36, 30, and it was Charlie Brown. He was always the guy that was at the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he wouldn't compare to anyone that's near the top on the team today. That's not the point. The point is that was history.
That's right.
And he was honored.
Right.
And his name was still on that wall, and it just went around the room, and I love it. So I agree with you, Alan. If it matters to profitability, and I think what you just said is morale is huge to profitability, culture, motivation, then it should absolutely be tracked and it should be posted.
Totally agree. So section 4, Todd, delegation. More control, not less. This is the big mindset shift. Owners hear the word delegation and think, I'm giving up control.
Right.
But once you've got meetings, KPIs, and scoreboards in place, you actually get more control. You stop being reactive. You stop being surprised. You know where the numbers are, who owns them, and what's getting done.
Yeah. And Alan, this is when delegation starts to feel like freedom, like you said, instead of risk.
Absolutely.
This is the moment. Because control doesn't come from you touching everything. It comes from building systems that make automatic accountability.
Well said, Todd. Systems gives you leverage, and leverage gives you freedom. What did Dave Ramsey always scream? Freedom!
All right, Alan, this is the segment that really gives people the tools. Now, my business coach for years and years and years is Michael Hyatt. Great author. I really recommend absolutely any book that he's written. It's worth adding to your library, right? You could have Michael's entire library in your home office for under $200, and it's worth having. Go buy all of his books. One of the key principles that Michael did that I really appreciate was laying out this thing that he referred to as the 5 levels of delegation. And the thing, Alan, that was nice about this for me as a leader was it allowed me to understand, oh, I get why I'm not delegating some things. And I understand why some people aren't running with the delegation that I give them, because it's about having a basis of understanding. So I'm going to run through it with everyone really quickly here. And there are 5 levels, and the goal is to try to get all of your people to level 4 and level 5 in time. Here's level 1. Level 1 is when you go to someone and say, do exactly what I say. Here is the step-by-step instructions, no deviation. Basically, that's apprentice level and shut up and watch and pay attention and learn.
Right.
Here's level 2. Research and report and then gather information and then bring it back to me because I'm still going to make the decision, but now you have an opportunity to go get a little smarter. So if you're going back to the apprentice, I want you to crack open your plumbing book and go read this. I want you to go right along with Charlie Brown. And when you come back, I want you to tell me what you learned. Do what Charlie said, but come back, let's talk about it. By the way, this is true in accounting, any level.
Yeah.
Level 3 is now go and research. This is like you with an apprentice on the job site. You're working together. Hey, what 3 ways would you fix this problem? Let's talk about it. And you talk about it. Maybe the apprentice has the right answer and you go, yeah, I think you're right. Give it a go. I'm going to watch and make sure you do it well. Or you know what? Good job selecting what you thought was best, but I actually think there's a better way. Let me tell you what it is.
Right.
So this is when interaction is starting to happen. This is when you're starting to see a person taking action, making decisions, but not making moves just yet because we're still trying to make sure that they're going to make the right decision. Level 4 is when it gets fun. Level 4 is, hey, look, I trust you. You do it. Do the work. Just tell me what you did. How do you tell me what you did? Well, through systems, it's reporting the job notes with your dispatch or your debriefing, right? Just tell me what you did. And then, hey, look, if the call was bad, that's okay. You're at level 4. We're going to live and learn. We'll correct on it. Level 5 is where the absolute freedom comes in. And level 5 is go and do. You've got this. You actually don't even need to check in. Now, let me be clear when I say this. You're always going to gather the key information. I'm not saying you never let a technician never check in. No. Technicians mostly operate in level 4 scenarios, but there are level 5 scenarios where a technician who has advanced might find a diagnostic problem. He diagnoses it. He creates a system design. He lays out everything and sells the job, and then he just comes and executes the strategies. But if we're talking about from a leadership standpoint, level 5 is really, really, really high leadership, Alan. It is someone that is running a department, and outside of a series of reports that you get, they are literally 100% calling all the shots. They are hiring, they are firing, they are adding new product lines. Like they're really, really high up there. So I think the other thing about if there are 5 levels of delegation that we also need to understand is that those 5 levels of delegations have degrees of complexity based upon the position.
Correct.
So that's the 5 levels. And a lot of times the reason why people feel like they're always working with folks that don't think or they're not getting things done is because they've never actually sat down, showed these levels to their people, talked about where they're at in their position and where they're at in this particular job set and say, right, right now, you're really at a level 2. You're really in research and reporting and I'm making the decision here, right?
Right.
I want to get you to level 3, though, to where we're deciding together. And Alan, I use this in my business, and it has made, not only has it made a night and day difference in getting things done, it's made a night and day difference in frustration. If I take something to someone and I say, hey, just so you know, what I want you to do is I want you to report back and let me make the decision here.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, there are some things that will almost always be that way until I know for a fact they got it. And oddly enough, it's like travel arrangements. Like, no.
Right.
Don't put me on a plane until I've looked at those travel times.
Right. I'm the same way. Travel. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's going to be very rare till anyone gets level 5 delegation when it comes to my schedule.
I agree. And it lines up perfectly, Todd, with your ADD principle. Every task in the business should either be automated. If tech can do it, don't burn human time on it.
Mm-hmm.
Delegate it, hand it off at the right level of freedom, or delete it if it doesn't serve profit or growth. cut it.
Absolutely, Alan. It's so simple, right? Get a
And
good.
it's just how you clear your plate enough to lead.
Alan, I agree with you. And here's the only thing that I want to make a caveat about automation, because I'm a huge believer in automation, especially a huge believer in automation that solves a problem that's already been pre-built for the masses, because then it's cheap.
Absolutely.
I'm very against automating things when they're custom built, because they're extremely expensive. And sometimes we are automating things for a human that's in accounting, for the sake of example, or maybe someone in the field, like, hey, can I get this custom widget built? And you look at the cost of that, and yes, it may save time, but it costs so much you never get a return on it.
Right.
So that's where I draw the line on automation. If we're just automating just for the sake of automating, and it's actually not, saving time that produces profitability, it costs us money, it takes 5 years to get a return, don't do that.
Yeah, it's back to the things we started talking about in section 1, Todd. Like if it doesn't serve profitability or growth, don't do it.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, Alan, I think we had a really good section on delegation, talked about how to gain visibility so that we could pick the right things to delegate. So let's challenge the listener today. All right. So listener, here's your challenge today. Pick one of the areas in your business where you know that you're holding on too tight. And then I want you to ask yourself, should I automate this? Should I delegate this? Or should I delete this? And if you should delegate it, then I want you to ask, at what level of freedom am I given? In other words, at what of the 5 levels of delegation am I out? Spell it out. And then use your meeting and your KPIs to implement the processes and get that control back.
And do it the right way, Todd, even when it's hard, right? Because that's how you protect profit, empower your team, and keep growing.
That's right, Alan. Delegation is how you scale control. And scaling control is our next challenge. What happens when leadership itself isn't enough? So in our next episode, we're going to unpack how to protect your culture during leadership transitions, because systems means absolutely nothing if the people in your company lose trust in your leaders. And you're going to know what to do and what systems to put in place so that you can lead without micromanaging. All right. So, Alan, that's today's episode. So if our audience here is interested in getting delegation help, they can send an email at todd@toddliles.com. By the way, you can address that to me, or you can address it to Alan. I'll forward it over to Alan if it's to you. And
Right.
I'm sure we'd be happy to help them if they actually take the time to reach out, right?
Absolutely, Todd. Like, I think this is such a great business. I love the home services business, and a great admiration for anybody out there working to build a business. So any help we can give, just let us know. Always happy to do it.
All right. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate you again.
No problem, Todd.
Hey, thanks so much for watching the show this week. Head over to toddliles.com/mindset to get the show notes. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you never miss a new episode of the show. And if you enjoyed this episode, then share it. It really helps us get the word out. You've been watching the $100 Million Mindset with Alan O'Neill and Toast Deliver Todd Liles.